Tonight, Ghana's health service on high alert following discovery of a new COVID-19 variant, C12, which is said to be unresponsive to the current vaccines.
With the molecular labs and the EOCs, we are now going to do sequencing, and so we are able to always be on top of whatever we do, and then we can also tailor our messages, our responses into the need of the current system.
We have details as the service takes delivery of sequencers to aid identification and monitoring of COVID-19 variants. Also tonight, a wet day in parts of the country with floods in Accra, Kumasi and 16 communities in the northeast region.
So try intimate for her. So one pay baby and fire and so never either for Cano. Any pair fire could be what? Just say be one more deno. Almost four now or more de or more extra quanim.
We have details for you, plus another demonstration in demand for President Akufo-Addo to reopen the country's land borders. But the government is not having any of that. The regional minister says that will not happen.
But these borders can never be open unless the COVID team recommends so for this country. We will not give in to such cheap blackmail. Are more important than anything else.
In business, Ghana could be receiving royalties from Nigeria for providing them Ghana's lottery platform. We'll tell you about the push being made by the National Lottery Authority.
We are gladly using our numbers, but without saying thank you to Ghana. And so we are also determined that this good working relationship should yield something for the Ghanaian people.
Later in sport, Ghana wraps up the preparation for its first 2022 World Cup qualifier against Ethiopia tomorrow. Former Black Stars defender Tony Bafo has been advising the team.
It's not only by mouth. You have to take it step by step, because now everybody plays football. It's preparation, it's organization, and it's attention to details and a bit of luck. Now they have the blessing from everyone.
And later in showbiz, some artists are unhappy about how Ghanaians ditch them too quickly for new ones. We'll hear from them. This is John News Prime coming to you live from our studios at Kokomilime here in Accra. We're in your digital TV because you are free to DSTV channel 421, Go TV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Stay with us. Hello again, my name is Ernest Minu. Let's settle for the details now. The National Public Health and Reference Laboratory in Accra will now be able to conduct sequencing of SARS-CoV-2, the virus which causes COVID-19. Sequencing has helped to identify new variants or strains of the infection and help medical experts to amend the management of the disease as appropriate. Until now, only the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, the West Africa Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens at the University of Ghana, and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology had the capacity to conduct genome sequencing of the various virus to establish its changing characteristics to help in the effective management of the disease. We'll get a better education on the genome sequencing shortly and how this is important. But first, listen to the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar Boaji, when he took delivery of the equipment for the National Public Health and Reference Laboratory.
At the beginning of the pandemic, as a service, our drive was to ensure that we don't just fight the virus now, but also prepare for the next one. And so as part of our response, we ensure that we both will be better off now. And I can say that our response, our preparation is much better today than in March last year when we saw our first case. And this has not happened with, this has happened with strong support from CDC and other partners. CDC has helped us establish our national EOC, helped us establish regional EOCs, and then we've also expanded our laboratories. When we started, we had only 2 labs, academic labs. Our objective to ensure that by the time we finish, with the response. We are also ready as a public service, be able to all the time be able to work well to identify emerging diseases, get this, the stereotypes that we are getting so that we can respond better. We've been doing this with meningitis, but this has helped us now. So with the support with the molecular labs and the EOCs, we are now going to do sequencing. And so we are able to always be on top of whatever we do. And then we can also tailor our messages, our responses into the need of the current system. So I want to use this opportunity to thank you for this important support that really goes to improve our capacity to respond. This support also helped us give the regional capacity has expanded so that they do not have to wait for the national level instruction, but they are able to tape up responses and also act as quickly as they need be.
We can now hear from the head of the National Public Health and Reference Laboratory, Dr. Gifty Boateng, who spoke at this event.
These are equipment for sequencing. It's a main ion equipment for sequencing, and it is not just the equipment. It came with its reagents for us to be able to do the sequencing, and also it came with consumables. And when we talk about consumables, all the things that when you are testing, you use and then you don't get them back are also added to these donations. And with this, we'll be able to start doing sequencing for Ghana Health Service, which has already been started by other labs. So we also join to get the other variants of COVID-19. You know, currently for where we are, the variant keeps on changing. And so this is very, very important at this stage of our fight for COVID, because we need to know the different types of the variant that keeps on changing so that we're able to get the appropriate response for that.
So we can now talk about the new variants, and new variants have made the fight difficult for epidemiologists because the virus changes in character just when a solution is being worked out. This week, a new strain said to be deadlier than the dreaded Delta has been discovered in South Africa and already found its way into other countries. We'll come to that shortly, but take a look now at the different variants of SARS-CoV-2 experienced since the outbreak of the disease, and the World Health Organization has classified them into 3. So you have variants of concern. That's the first classification. So you have Alpha, which was first found in the UK, Beta, South Africa, Gamma in Brazil, and then the Delta variant, which we know is very vicious, that was found in India. The other classification is variants of interest, and there are 5 of them. So you have Eta, you have Lota, Eta multiple countries, Lota in the USA, we have Kappa in India again, and then Lambda in Peru, and you have Mu also in Colombia. So that's the second one. Now there's a third one, and these are variants still undergoing classification. And so we have what we now know as the C12, which has now been found in South Africa, and we are learning that it is more dangerous or vicious than the Delta variant. Now, the WHO Director for Africa region, Dr. Mashidi Sumoeti, has been speaking at a news conference today about Africa's COVID-19 situation. She revealed that the third wave is claiming more lives now. At least 26 deaths are recorded every hour on the continent.
24 out of 54 African countries, so nearly half, are still reporting high or fast rising case numbers. The epicenter is a moving target, shifting from one sub-region to the next. Cases are rising in West, Central, and East Africa. In this third wave, every hour, 26 Africans die of COVID-19. The pandemic is still raging, and we must not let our guard down. As long as vaccination rates are low, severe illness and deaths risk staying high. Over 143 million vaccine doses have been received in Africa, and 39 million people, less than 3% of Africa's population, are fully vaccinated. That compares to more than 50% in the European Union and the United States. Equally concerning is a continuing inequity in the distribution of doses. Africa accounts for just 2% over the 5 billion of the over 5 billion doses given globally. This percentage, I'm afraid, hasn't shifted in months. It is encouraging, though, that in the past month, almost 21 million doses have arrived on the continent through COVAX. That's equal to the entire 4 previous months. As WHO, we're working tirelessly to support countries to hit the global target of fully vaccinating 10% of their populations by the end of September. We've just 1 month to go, and this must concentrate our minds in Africa and minds globally.
Still with the WHO, it says that African countries must also zero in and drive forward precise plans to rapidly vaccinate the millions of vulnerable people that are still faced with a grave threat of COVID-19.
Already, 9 African countries have reached this target, so that's very encouraging. Among those are the island nations such as Seychelles and Cabo Verde, countries that have rolled out vaccines strongly from the start, such as Morocco, and countries where the uptake is rapidly increasing, like South Africa. Many of these countries are in the upper middle or high income brackets and have procured vaccines directly from manufacturers as well as receiving various vaccine supplies. For lower income countries that are relying mainly on donations, the situation is more dire. If the current trends hold, 42 of Africa's 54 countries, nearly 80%, are set to miss the September target, I'm afraid. 3 more countries, Equatorial Guinea, Comoros, and Sao Tome and Principe, will meet the target at the current pace. I think a couple of other countries as well, like Senegal, Namibia, and Botswana, if these speed up vaccinations, they too could still reach it. I do commend the commitment of national and local authorities, communities, and partners who are working hard to expand the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines.
Away from COVID-19, it's been a wet day in several parts of the country today, with floods in some areas of Accra and Kumasi. In Accra, there was gridlock in areas such as Tesano, Shiashi, Otonglo, where the roads were submerged. Kumasi also was not spared. Many other parts of the northern part of the country also experiencing flood in a month not known for such heavy rains. We'll try to understand what is happening shortly, but first, a report from Accra.
This is what residents have to go through anytime it rains here in a small town in Kisima. Now, this area is basically flood prone, and when it rains, the water can get up to my chest. Like you can see on a wall right here, the level of water gets up to this line whenever it rains here in Kisima. Residents are worried about their lives and property, as many have lost their belongings to floods here.
The last time it rained, I saved a lot of children there because the water almost swallowed all the children, like about 5 children. So I have to carry them on my head, then bring them one after the other outside. So it's a bad experience to them. So we are not living comfortable there because whenever the rain falls, we find it so difficult to come out.
As soon as the water is coming, we make ourselves alert so that no one will get any risky in the area. So we make sure everybody in our rooms will make a counter. If the water is coming, everybody pack his things on the counter, because if the water is coming, then we lock our doors. Then we leave the place and go to other street to wait up to 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes or 2 hours if the water is gone, before we came back to clean the houses and our room before we can enter.
This gutter starts all the way from Ibri in the eastern region and ends at Odona at Circle here in Accra. But whenever it rains heavily, the water overflows and in turn floods the entire community. Residents here are calling on government to help solve this situation. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Judith Awache Tando.
Well, in Kumasi, Ohiminteria toured the affected communities. Here's his report.
For almost 2 hours, commuters were stuck at home, bus stops and in traffic as some streets and suburbs got flooded. Affected areas include the Kwamo-Ejeso stretch of the main Kumasi-Accra Road, Kumasi-Obuasi and Kumasi-Tamale roads.
Just this morning, when Kumasi experienced an hour or two downpour, this whole area got flooded. The situation means vehicles that ply this particular route are unable to access the road here.
Stranded commuters and drivers complained about the failure of authorities to address the poor drainage challenge.
Nsuo try ntimi mfa ha. So one pe baby amfa nsuo ne beira fa oka no. Eni pe fa akro bi ho a je se ebi wo mo ho den no. Omo fa wo na omo de omo atwa kwan nim. Te ha ne de nsuo to a enya asem ketwa kra. Ya na no den papa pa se nsuo ne to na obegina esoro akaka na oto ani a. Je se asochi ade ba no. Se wo ye nipa kra no ampe baby anyina ebetimi afaw.
At South Junction, for instance, a chain of mechanic shops got submerged as stranded shop owners idled about.
Intimi nya adwuma wo ha. Ka intimi mfa ha. Etimi why quotal no na de begu e shop wo no. Ba ne titu ne be bridge na e wa ha no mo no. E wo se bridge na de hwe ne ye. E na gates na wo hin na de emosisi ntina nso nto anya kwa ba bi nya de emfa no. Ti nso to de ha no de etimi nya adwuma wo ha kora. Nso nto a etimi yifa car e wa ha no nyina. Yetimi nya adwuma. Je so wo tu seat ni nyina no ye de wa ohuro ma wi abomansa no ye de o nipa kro car ye de ama no. E sa so nipa no kon so a o ma biu.
Assemblyman for South Centreso, Kwame Asafoje, echoed concerns of motorists and commuters. He appealed to government to improve the drainage system on the Bekwai roundabout, Santasi roundabout road.
If there is a heavy downpour, movement is slowed. No one can pass through this channel to where he or she is going. Seriously, you will see a heavy traffic here, both sides. You know, vehicles cannot even pass because the last time it rained heavily, when you get into it, maybe like it will be on your shoulder or wherever. And it's you know, there was a time one lady, the water wanted to take her away, and we helped. Through those who are doing this washing bay here, they helped, they swam and brought the old lady out, and it's very bad. It stops activities, you know, children going to school, vehicles taking people to the market or their workplaces. It will delay them till when the water is down before they can go, and so it wastes a whole lot of time.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
We know some roads in the Upper West region have already been destroyed by floods in the last week. Today, we are hearing about some destruction of roads in the northern region after Monday's floods. Martina Bugri joined the roads minister to tour the affected areas, and here's her report.
Monday's floods in the northern region capital Tamale and its environs will go down history as one of the heaviest in the area. The rain destroyed several properties and also affected roads. Inspecting these roads to assess the damage done, the Minister of Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoakwata, said there was the need for the redirection of drains, construct more and design the internal roads of the metropolis to control floods.
The impression I have, starting from Tamale internal roads, we have a big problem, and we have a big challenge. I think we have to look at the design of internal roads of Tamale differently, because I have realized that there are about 2 main storm drains, long ones running through Tamale, and Tamale Township has a problem. We have to look at it properly, redesign the internal roads, redirect the channels, build more drains to control particularly the rain waters. Tamale is in a mess. And if we don't engage in that assignment, Tamale will continue to have problems anytime it rains.
The minister, who also assessed roads in the Saviligo and Nanton district, said there were some of the roads who were so bad that they were unaccessible and needed a helicopter to access these roads.
There are some areas that we can't even access by road. And again, thanks to the Ghana Air Force, tomorrow they are assisting us with a helicopter for us to have an area view of all the disaster areas. So perhaps I'll be able to give a fair comment tomorrow before we move to Upper East. And as we did in Upper West, where the situation is now under control, same is going to be done for here.
At the Kalaraga community, where they have had 2 floods already in the year, he described the storm drain running in the area as substandard.
You don't even need any engineering brain to know that the work done there was not perhaps well designed. Well, somebody will call it substandard, and there was no proper coordination, because you saw that even the storm drain constructed there, had already fallen in.
The minister earlier visited the Northern Regional Minister, Alhaji Shani Alhassan Shaibu, to have first-hand briefing on the situation before hitting the ground.
There's a historic building there. They all ran up there because they thought that water was coming. They didn't know that the fuel that was under was coming up. Yes, I have the pictures on my phone that I would share with you later. So we had to cordon off the place for the safety of people. We thank God that we didn't register any human casualties, but we registered human losses, property losses. People really lost property, but we're fortunate not to lose human lives.
That is Martina Bugre's report. So what is going on with our weather and our cities? We're joined by Engineer Abdullahi Mahama, and also with us on Zoom is the Ghana Meteorological Agency to try and understand why we're experiencing these rainfalls and the intensity that we're also recording. Let me start with the officer from the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Thank you very much, Raphael Osei Boachi, Senior Meteo Officer at the Kotoka International Airport. Why are we experiencing such amount of rainfall at this time of the year?
Thank you very much. Good evening and good evening to your viewers. It's not quite a news. In September, we expect the minor rainy season to begin. And between September and October, we expect minor season, especially for those of us in the southern half of the country. August is the main peak, the maximum range for the northern sector, whereas September, October, it moves down south to the southern half. So it's not quite a news. We had it last year too, just that last year it delayed a bit. And then previous years before last year, it's not quite different from what we are having this year. And as we still expect more to come because we are now entering September, and October will be quite even on the high compared to September. So we should be on the alert.
So, but let's look at the intensity of the rain that we are recording. Is that also normal?
Yes,
around this time of the year?
Yes, just as I said, from ending of August, into September. September actually is the main month. The September-October is the main rainy season. Sorry, the minor rainy season, and where we expect rainfalls to fall between 50 millimeters and to 70 millimeters in a particular day where you have rainfall, and that is what exactly we are getting now. So it's not quite different from what we have been experiencing previously.
Okay, and I asked this because, like you rightly said, it is supposed to be the minor rainy season, but we are seeing cities being flooded, and I'll return to you shortly, sir, to tell us what we can expect. You've already given us the indication of what to expect in October, but we'll come to the details of that. Let me speak to Engineer Abdullah, who is also on Zoom. Engineer, we are seeing that our cities are being flooded, especially major highways. Here in Tesano, it's an annual ritual. Every time it rains, that spot just in front of the police training school and the Ghana Telecom University always gets flooded. There are other ports that I'm sure viewers can relate to. What is the problem?
Well, I would say a good evening to your viewers. I think we know the problem around the Tesano areas as well as the capital. We are in a low-lying area, and the way and manner in which we do our desilting of the major receptor in Accra, i.e. the Odo, is not so welcoming. I expect that the Odo should be an annual or daily ritual where we would have to ensure that we get to the bottom of the Odo prior to receiving the rains, whether it is a minor rain or a major rain. Now, I've been doing this calculation over the years, and I feel like when you see the Odo at its peak, over the past few years, I've still not seen an extensive excavation or desilting of the Odo. Like I always say that if you pick from the sea area towards Tesano or Alaju, let's be within the approximation of 3 kilometers. And if we want to do an extensive desilting of the material, or i.e. the silt material there, we should be talking in the region of over 270,000 cubic of material. And if you want to do that desilting, it's not anything less than 6 months and above. I said this last year, and then the former consultant to the Ministry of Works and Housing, in the person of Engineer Wasametepe, re-echoed what I said. But with all this, you see, we have just lined the drain from the sea area towards Alajo, Abofu area. Yeah. Now, just behind Abofu, towards Domipila 2, towards the Birekusu Road, is what we call the F line, or the F excavated storm drain. So, if you look at the Odo is occupied over 85% or so by silt. And you know that no human being goes to deposit silt in a drain when there's rain. So I always say that even though we are in discipline, you only see the polythene bags on the surface of the Odo. However, the major component that is increasing the siltation of the Odo is silt. How can we eradicate this one from the Odo? We need to go beyond the Abofu stretch and then start to try to line the drain from that place towards Adomipila 2, towards the Brekusu area. Otherwise, we would always wait for the time to desilt. And when we desilt the drain, in the next 1 week, 2 weeks after the rains have come, it washes all the silt from the Abofu up Domi to Brekusu stretch. Now look at what just happened about a month ago on the Kwabenya police station to Halto Road. The first time in the history of Ghana, we've had an extensive flooding of that area. Why? Just after the Kwabenya police station en route towards Hachu, the development in an otherwise buffer area down south from the atomic area has been overlooked by the assemblies. And there's an extensive walls which are constructed within the swampy area, blocking the water from coming to Accra. And so when you start to have these bottlenecks of water, which is a responsibility of the assemblies. See, let me just give you one quotation so that maybe on a longer day we can have this discussion. Sure. The building regulation 13B, and that's 2, state that no one should develop any land which is liable or which has a probability of becoming a flooded area until an alternative solution is given for a flood-improved area before permit is given for such developers. Now, when you move on those roads and you see gargantuan developments springing up like mushrooms along those atomic areas, which all factor into the the experience we're having around Tesano, Abofu straight towards Odo. Who are those assemblies and why are we allowing the assemblies? I've always been saying that if the assemblies sit up at the assemblies and start to work, the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act of 2016 and the Building Regulation 1996, LI 1630, when these institutions start to use this one, Accra and for that matter, Ghana will start to experience minimal flooding. However, if we don't do these things and put a check on the assemblies who allow permit to be given to people to put up structures in swampy areas when they don't have an alternative solution or making provision for alternative routes for these waters to actually be channeled strictly. When we have those turbulence, that brings about the increase of flood we have in Accra.
So
like I said,
you have dealt with the issue extensively and given us the larger picture on how to deal with this right from the source. You mentioned the Dome area. Now, with the specific area, just in 30 seconds because we don't have time, the specific area of Tesano, can engineering provide some solution even as we wait for government to deal with this holistically? Can we do something in the interim?
We have to look at whether the drains are silted. That's it. Because see, in doing a design along a road highway, some of this flooding is expected. You can have minimal flooding because it will go because of the terrain you have. But you expected that within some short time, all those ruins waters will be able to find themselves into the adjoining channels. But if we don't try to distill those areas, then this is what we're going to experience every other time. And unfortunately, that this is what happens every year when we come and speak up. The solutions are there, and the assemblies ought to sit up. When the assembly sit up, you and I will be the beneficiary at the end of the day.
Great. Engineer Mahama, I want to thank you for your time. Let me just quickly wrap up with our officer from the Meteorological Agency. You have indicated that in October we should have some more rains. What happens from now till then? Tell us about the kind of rains, and is this nationwide or just down south?
It's nationwide in the early days. In the early days, we expect what we are having over the northern sector to recede. Then as it recedes, and then we expect the southern half to enter into the main minor rainy season. That is between September and October. So before it recedes from the north, you will still have some torrential rains over the northern sector of the country. As I speak to you now, there is another rainstorm on the way now over Nigeria, and we expect it to be in the country in the morning to affect the northern sectors of the country. The middle as well will also be affected, so we should be on the guard.
Okay, so thank you very much. That's a senior officer at the Meteorological Agency stationed at the Kotoka International Airport. You are warned, you should expect some rains from tomorrow, and you should update yourself with the Meteorological Agency, their website as well. You're watching Journey Prime with me, Ernest Mini. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll tell you about a demonstration demanding that President Akufo-Addo reopens the country's land borders. But the government is not having any of that. We'll hear from the regional minister. And later in business, Ghana could be receiving royalties from Nigeria for providing them Ghana's lottery platform. We'll tell you about the push being made by the Ghana National Lottery Authority.
Nigeria gladly using our numbers, but without saying thank you to Ghana. And so we are also determined that this good working relationship should yield something for the Ghanaian people.
Charles Aite is standing by with details. After this break, don't go away.
Hi there, it's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. Ghana could be receiving royalties from Nigeria for providing our West African neighbor our lottery platform. This would ensure Nigeria and other West African countries using the platform provided by Ghana for their lottery games are legitimized. In a meeting with his Nigerian counterpart, Director General of the Ghana Lottery Authority, Samuel Awuku, touted the authority's robust and trusted system that can be deployed in all countries in the sub-region. Here's more from a courtesy call paid on him by the Nigerian Lottery Operators Forum.
According to the National Lottery Authority, Nigeria has been using the numbers generated from Ghana through the lottery draw for its operations without any benefit to the country. Speaking to welcome the Nigerian Licensed Lottery Operators Forum, the Director General of the National Lottery Authority, Sami Euku, disclosed that the country will be using the collaboration to make legitimate demands from both Nigeria and other countries.
One is because of the integrity, the draw integrity of Ghana's lottery system. Again, we have also been worried about Nigeria gladly using our numbers, but without saying thank you to Ghana. And so we are also determined that this good working relationship should yield something for the Ghanaian people. And in the past, we were told that you always had people in our draw rooms. Anytime that the numbers are drawn, then quickly they relay it to Nigeria. And then payments are also made effectively. Again, we also look forward to having that stronger collaboration from our side and your side. And we believe that we can also help Nigeria build a very strong lottery industry through this partnership.
Meanwhile, Mr. Uku has hinted that the NLA is beginning a special exercise to arrest and prosecute all private lottery operators without license and illegal dealers in the system. Chairman for the Nigerian Licensed Lottery Operators Forum, Chima Onwuka, confirmed that the issue of royalties is a topmost agenda on the visit to Ghana.
That's why we're here to work it out. You know, it's a great area worldwide right now in collaborating between nations in the use of numbers. Not only the Ghana numbers, so many countries are using Powerball from America to Euroballs also to do this thing. So it's a little bit of gray areas. It's something we are willing to look at. That's why basically what we're here. We look at it on our side. We look at it on the side of the, like the DG rightly said, somebody that is spending time and money to produce numbers deserves something for it. So that's the main reason why we're here. Let's look into it and how we can learn.
The visit also provided a platform for both parties to build a working relationship.
We stay a bit longer on lotteries because tax expert Dr. Alina Chia is urging government to consider a cost-benefit analysis of online sports betting before any move to impose taxes on it. Government aims to formulate a new policy to improve revenue mobilization from online gaming this year. The Ministry of Finance as well as the Ministry of Interior are talking with stakeholders to formulate a comprehensive policy to improve revenue mobilization from online gaming. In reaction to this, Dr. Nachia said any move to tax online betting should rather be channeled towards boosting the sports sector of the economy. He spoke to me earlier on the marketplace.
I think that if the revenue being generated from taxes, fees, and licenses they pay is going to be channeled to the appropriate quarters, it will rather see us developing sports for the interest and benefit of both sportsmen, spectators, and even the betting public. Because come to think of it, if you look at all the stadia being put up to speed towards 2023, if the revenue is coming in to develop the sports arena, sports enthusiasm, interest would increase. And I think it will be a win-win situation for all. The concern for me would be for the tax revenue being used for the purpose for which it was being collected. That is what gives people the confidence and the necessary compliance enthusiasm. It is when they do not see what the tax revenue is being used for is when the question arises. So if the basis of the taxation is to develop the sports arena, then I think that they would really want to see that. That I agree with them. But the cost buildup could be occasioned because of the fact that the necessary revenue is not being generated to support the sector. So I think that the monitoring and evaluation of the use of the revenue should be key in getting sports to be developed through taxation.
And that'll be all for business for this segment. We have sports coming up. Do stay.
Many thanks for staying with us. Time to bring you sport. I am Hans Mensah, and former Black Stars defender Tony Baffo has urged players of the Black Stars to eschew complacency in their opening World Cup qualifier against Ethiopia at the Cape Coast Stadium tomorrow. The four-time African champions are targeting a fourth appearance at the FIFA World Cup after appearing at the Showbiz in 2006, 2010 and in 2014. There is more in the following report.
Only by mouth. You have to take it step by step, because now everybody plays football. It's preparation, it's organization, and it's attention to details and a bit of luck. Now they have the blessing from everyone. The legends like Reverend Osei Kofi were there, Awulekwe, Coach Ibrahim Sunday, then Dan Owusu, Willie Klutse, Awulekwe, Abidipele, Sami Kufuor, and many others. They were present.
Now, ahead of that Ghana versus Ethiopia World Cup qualifier, President of the Ghana Football Association, Keto Kreku, has urged former players of the Black Stars to give the current team their full support. He made a plea during interaction with the national heroes here in Accra.
If we have in any way offended any of you along the line of duty, we are sorry. If by any chance we have offended any of you, Mr. Wankpafai, I am sure that even when I walk through that door, some of you will say, Kurt, all your presence in Intelligence. I am sorry. All of you would have wished that when it comes to the biggest assembly of football, the World Cup, you'll be packed. Some of you have been packed as footballers. Some of you still want to be packed, even though you've retired. This is possible. All of you have varied experiences on how battles are won. But what you all agree to is that it doesn't take one person's effort to qualify the Black Stars to the World Cup. It doesn't. If you take his effort, my effort, your effort, our collective effort to make sure that our Black Stars will be there. And that's why I need you. That's why my minister needs you. That's why our president of the Republic needs you. And that's why you also need me. We need each other to ensure that our Black Stars will make it. Yes. Because clearly, if we are able to make it to the World Cup, it will be a game changer.
And that's it for this installment. More sports later in the bulletin.
Time now for the latest in the world of showbiz. And Ghanaian rapper Chipop, generally known as D-Crime, real name Darlington Akwesi Agyemang, has bemoaned the way Ghanaians are always in a haste to rubbish old artists and welcome the new ones. Speaking in an interview with Noella Kanyale on Daybreak Hit, Dr. Crime, or D-Crime, said that he finds it very worrying how Ghanaians denigrate, I beg your pardon, old artists just because new ones have emerged on the scene. He explained that some people label artists as one-time hit makers, and it's something he finds very disturbing.
They are quick to embrace new artists. It's like a three-journey step for them, not all Ghanaians, but I think most of them. The first step is, yes, we are happy to have somebody new in the game. It's like, yay, we have somebody new vibe, new energy, new flow. He's going to really get us there. Now, in between the journey, in the middle, I think they have some certain expectations from them, like, oh, he's grown followers now, and I think he's changing. Gone were the days when I call him, the phone rings one and he picks up, now it rings 3 times. And your mistake. You start doing some free Salaka shows. Later, when you start talking about money, you say, hey, I don't have a hand time. You know, he's growing wings now. We can't, no, it's not like they will say we can, it's like patiently you see him fall off and they'll go like, Young can't say he will fall off. So it's like this 3-step mostly happens to most of these uprising artists. So it was an advice to the uprising artists like, yo, careful, because most times when they are comforting your Ediafo, they are rather comforting your Achacha. So you guys have to be vigilant. Don't be just all headful, and when it's coming like, oh, you're a new person, and you know everybody will be giving you a platform and everything. It has that 3 steps. We have been there. Some was able to, saw through them. Some wasn't able to. So first one, it was an advice. And the second thing I said is that as much as Ghanaians are quick to embrace new ones, same way they are quick to relegate the OGs.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Let's return to our earlier story on COVID-19. The World Health Organization has said that 29 people die every hour on the continent. We're also learning of a new variant, C12. But the good news is that the Ghana Health Service has received some equipment that will help them in sequencing. Let's find out why this is important. We're joined by a virologist at the KCCR, Dr. Michael Owusu. Doc, thank you so much for your time here on Joy News Prime. First, help us understand why it's important to know the changes that the virus makes, or the how the virus mutates, like you said. Why is this important as far as managing the pandemic is concerned?
Okay, good evening to you, and good evening to all your viewers. Coronavirus is a unique virus which has about 30,000 base pairs. What it means is that it is arranged in form of blocks. And what we know about the virus is that every time that the virus reproduces or recombines, at least you expect that one block will be removed and be replaced by another block. And this goes on through the lifespan of the virus. So for every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, these changes occur. And the longer the virus, the higher the tendency for the virus to undergo through these changes. So one of the things you do as a way of, as a public of action or implementing interventions, is to be able to follow through the changing dynamism of the virus. Anytime the virus changes, there are things it does. It will be able to affect your antiviral drug therapies. Okay. It can affect the vaccines that are given out. It can also even have a clinical picture what is unique. It could cause more severe disease or could cause more deaths. Sometimes even the detection techniques that we use in the lab for diagnosis can also be affected. So if you don't track the virus to know what changes it goes through, it is difficult to be able to put in any interventions that will be able to help curb the spread or possibly eradicate the virus from the country. This is why genomic surveillance becomes very important, and therefore sequencing is very crucial when it comes to dealing with viruses like coronaviruses.
But when you're seeing such regular emergence of variants, how differently does it impact the situation?
Well, this is why since COVID started, from the earlier original strain from Wuhan, we knew the clinical picture, we knew the level of transmissibility, we understood the reproductive number of the virus. But the virus also wants to survive, so it has to go through a next level of mutation. And when it went through that and gave us this alpha variant, the reproductive number increased, transmissibility was high, severity of disease was high. And then we came back to now Delta, which is almost 3-4 times much stronger than the alpha. Yeah. And also able to cause more sickness and can cause more death. So the mutation is a way for the virus to be able to adapt to the human population and to survive. And it survives by killing and by causing more destruction. So this is how, the viruses behave, which is why we have to know what it does. So we'll be able to have drugs, have vaccines, have diagnostic techniques to be able to target this virus.
And we know that in South Africa now, there's a discovery of a new strain. It's thought to be deadlier than the Delta, which is already causing a lot of trouble here in Ghana. We know that it's leading the spread now. What do we do about this new strain?
Well, one of the things that many countries are doing to, if possible, prevent these strains from getting to their countries to vaccinate. Most of the vaccines in the system are highly effective against even new variants that will emerge. So once you take the vaccine, you have some level of immunity to the point that at least if the virus has to evolve, you'll be able to control it. So the more countries lag behind in vaccination, the higher chance, or the more opportunity we give for the virus to run through and undergo mutation. So it's a goal of selective pressure. So if you're able to vaccinate more, you are able to put pressure on the virus to stay as it is. But if you don't vaccinate more, you give it the opportunity to go through. So I'm not surprised South Africa has recorded one, and I will not be surprised if other countries begin to see a new form of the Delta. I mean, after Delta, we should have another stronger one that will be even more deadly than the Delta, that will try to evade through the population and cause more destruction. So until we are able to close in on the virus with vaccination, it will be difficult to stop the virus from mutating. It will be very, very difficult.
Will border control make any difference in the way that we manage this to prevent at least its entry into the country? Will that do anything?
Well, it depends on the level of capacity of the country. This is what is very unique. I mean, if the country is well prepared and have what it takes to conduct rapid test and surveillance at the borders and to ensure that if cases come in, they are picked quickly and people are managed quickly, it shouldn't be a problem to open the borders. But if you don't put in the necessary measures to be able to manage it, then of course you have the potential of having cases run through. But talking of the borders in Ghana, it's not just about COVID. I mean, most of the COVID cases are imported through the airlines, but there are threats of some hemorrhagic fever viruses, including Marburg. We've heard about this, including possible Ebola, and others that is quite unclear how they are going through the West African population and what they are doing. It's just not too clear for us to know. So immediately, if you have the structures to be able to detect quickly and to be able to rapidly move in and screen and isolate people who come in, then you can open up and deal with the population that comes. But then if the structures are now being set up, then it will be very good and prudent to have them well installed, well set up. And for me, as a virologist, you want to look at having container labs well positioned at the borders so that in case people come in, they can be screened quickly and be tested quickly so that you'll be able to at least prevent as much as possible some cases, even if not COVID, some other hemorrhagic fever virus people who may be incubating the viruses from coming in. So the capacity of the country comes into play when it comes to the decision to either open or not to open. And this is what I think should guide us in doing this.
Thank you very much for your time. That's Dr. Michael Owusu, a virologist at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. Now to another border story. The borders will remain closed until the COVID-19 task force team says otherwise. That's a response from the Western Regional Minister Kobiochi Dakumensa to angry residents led by the Jomoro MP who protested today about the closure of the Elubo border. It's been 17 months since President Akufo-Addo announced the closure of the land and sea borders as part of efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19. You recall last month, residents of K2 South embarked on a similar demonstration for the border there to be reopened. Well, the residents of Elubo want government to, as a matter of urgency, declare the borders open. Listen to some of them.
Our husbands have run away. They have left us with everything. We don't have anything to do. Our children are in the house. They are not going to school. I have 4 kids, 2 at the university, 2 at the secondary level, but I can't look after them because the border is closed. And some people are eating, they are chopping money. We are still there in the house. We eat, we sleep. So we are begging the government to please open the border for us.
Your name?
My name is Veronica Samoa.
What are your concerns?
I'm Manola, I'm a taxi driver at Elubo, San Fran. When they closed the border, since they closed the border, since the 23rd of March 2020, and they closed the border, all our cars have been sold because you don't have money to survive on. And since that time up to now, I'm telling you, people cross every day and night, people cross. The immigration are collecting money, throw me. Anytime they are, right now, even the interior minister, you should discuss his step and come to Elubo. I'll cross him. The immigration officer will collect money and I'll cross him. But if you don't pay, they will just say, the border have closed, but you have not closed. That's the definition of the border closer. The border have closed, but I have not closed.
Why?
Because people used to go and come every day. The immigration are collecting money, the police are collecting money. with evidence. Not that I'm saying it with facts. Because I'm a taxi driver. Because that's where I survive. Because the border have closed. If the people come, I'll collect the money. Before I close them, I collect them 15,000, 20,000. Anytime the immigration will collect 20, the Kanuma will collect me from. When you reach at the other side of the border, the FSC will collect Jamie. On that place, the police will collect through me. When you reach at Norway, and the rest will be mine. Because of that, that's where I will survive on. If I will not do that, I cannot survive. How will I survive? So, since that time now, up to now, we have nothing else to do. So they should open the border for us. If the border will not, if the gas is not come.
We commend the government for the work done since the outbreak of COVID-19. The government provided relief items for vulnerable people in some parts of the country. Those of us in the Lubo didn't receive any of these items. The borders have been closed for 2 years now due to that, we have not been able to run our businesses. I went to the city to buy some items to sell, but we couldn't make any sales.
Well, the Jumra MP Dorcas Afo-Tofe, who led the demonstrators, tells Joy News they have been forced to hit the street as several calls for government to open the country's borders have not been heeded.
We are doing this demonstration because the land borders in Ghana have been closed for way too long. It's been almost 2 years. Our people at the border towns are suffering. As you can tell, people are crying. People that went for bank loans cannot repay. Lives have been lost. Marriages have been broken. People are committing suicide. The whole town is getting into like a ghost place because people are moving out of this place. So people are suffering. They can't pay school fees. Marriages are just falling apart. A lot of things are happening. A lot of hardships. So we are doing this demonstration to tell the government that it should really pay attention and do something about the reopening of the borders because it's been closed for way too long. The member of parliament, I did a statement. I called on the interior minister to ask him about the closure of the border. Nothing has been done. So we are hoping that by doing this demonstration, it will help us.
The MC for the area received a petition on behalf of government at Elubo, but the Western Regional Minister says the legislator is engaged in cheap blackmail by inciting the public against the residents.
The NDC member of parliament for Jamoro cannot lead a demonstration and tell us that it is because of hardship. He's only leading the demonstration because he wants to gain politically from it. But that is wrong because COVID is dangerous and it's for that reason that the borders in Ghana will be closed. So I believe that what has happened is unfortunate, but these borders can never be open unless the COVID team recommends so for this country. So COVID is not gone. You have the Delta variant and it's still killing people. Just yesterday, somebody died because of the COVID. We will not give in to such cheap blackmail. Are more important than anything else.
There's also the accusation that some immigration officials are taking monies from individuals to allow people to use unapproved routes.
They should report them immediately to me, and the necessary disciplinary action will be taken against them. They should report them. They should record them and report them. They should immediately. They should. Please, they should stop the speculation and come with the evidence so that those who are misbehaving at the border, whether policemen, immigration officers, custom officers, or whatever, so we can deal with them with the laws of this country.
Away from that, the minority in parliament is readying itself for a battle with government over the proposed establishment of the Ghana Development Bank. The group has served notice it will not accept any public resources dedicated to the setting up of the bank, describing the ongoing recruitment process as shrouded in secrecy. Well, Joy News is learning that government in the 2021 budget allocated 300 million cedis as seed money for the bank, which is yet to take off. Again, government has decided it will not seek parliamentary approval for the setting up of the bank, but will rather use the Registrar General's Department for the necessary approvals. But the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, tells Joy News government is only running away from parliament accountability and scrutiny. He warns that his side will not support any appropriation to the bank until parliament has been updated on the status of the process.
a national development bank, in principle, can be established publicly or privately, and it can be by legislation or through the Registrar General Department, as we are hearing. But it appears to me that on the matter of the National Development Bank, Ken Ofori-Atta, the Minister of Finance, is simply running away from parliamentary scrutiny and parliamentary accountability.
Why do you say that?
The primary question to ask is whether or not this bank is being funded with taxpayers' money and public money or not. I'm aware that some COVID resources of up to 300 million Ghana cedis in the 2020-2021 review budget have been allocated for the establishment of the National Development Bank. We in the minority are opposed to even the concept of a new National Development Bank. If you have funding, adequately capitalize and finance the existing banks to make them more viable in order that they can invest and provide credit to the private sector. The economic wing of the private sector, as I've always said and maintained, is access to credit and the cost of credit. Now, you don't want public or civil servants to play any role. As I heard Klegok, an official of the Ministry of Finance, speaking at ISA. Now, you cannot run a National Development Bank as if that was an extension of a data bank. I mean, somewhere, quite clearly, that is legally untenable.
But the reason
you should know further that the Agri Development Bank was established in 1965 by an Act of Parliament, Act 286. The Ghana Exim Bank, which was established under the NDC to support export financing, was established in 2016 by Act 911. The National Investment Bank was established in 1963 by Act 163. So what best practice? Now, given our own experience and the contemporaneous issues of a financial sector clean-up, this is even when you need Parliament to regulate what the object of the bank will be, to regulate what the functions of the bank will be, so that they don't engage in fiscal irresponsible acts and that they don't engage and dole out money as bad investment. You can only regulate that by law. So it's kind of defeatist for me, for the Ministry of Finance to want to establish this National Development Bank without recourse to Parliament. But will they come for Parliament to provide funding for it? What will be the basis for Parliament approving money for such a bank? Already it means that the 300 million allocation is clearly illegal. You must have a legitimate lawful institution that Parliament can appropriate for. So I find the arguments of the Minister of Finance and his representative bizarre, and I'm saying that let's learn from our experiences that many of these banks have not lived up to expectation. We need legislation to strengthen the focus of the banks by way of defining their objects, by way of determining their functions, and more importantly, to direct that they engage in prudent capital investment and avoid bad investment with the use of state public resources and taxpayers' money. So the Minister for Finance must simply walk back to Parliament.
Processes for the registration of land in the country should not exceed 1 month. That's the target set by President Akufo-Addo to the newly constituted board of the Lands Commission. For him, the success of the board will be measured by how far it is able to implement this objective. Inaugurating the newly constituted board of the Lands Commission, the president says this honest sale of land, poor records keeping, and fraud continues to hamper the administration of land. He warned Government's quest to develop the country will be difficult if the challenges identified are not addressed.
The land use suitability or capability, and also advise on and assist in the execution of a comprehensive program for the registration of title to land throughout the country. The Lands Commission is the only independent body, constitutional body, whose membership is such that the appointing authority has no influence on the composition of its members. As you are aware, apart from the chairperson who is appointed by the president, all other members of the commission are representatives of professional bodies, the regional lands commissions, ministries, agencies, and the National House of Chiefs, nominated by the bodies themselves. This is so because the framers of the Constitution appreciated the importance of land to the socio-economic development of the country. All human activities revolve around land, and thus access to land is one of the most important factors in the development of every nation. Regrettably, despite the various interventions by successive governments, most of the challenges in our land administration still persist, including dishonest sales of lands, poor record keeping at the Commission, encroachment of public lands, and the fraudulent registration of land. For example, names of different people when the same Lands Commission is responsible for registration? Why should documents or files submitted to the Lands Commission mysteriously disappear when the Lands Commission ought to be the chief custodian of such important documents? Why should it take years to register just a plot of land? Our quest to transform our economy, to bring about the much-needed development and prosperity, cannot be achieved without effective land administration. Investors will be frightened away if they spend good money to acquire land as a major tool for production, only to realize that what they acquired is litigation that spans years and sometimes decades.
The 17-member board, drawn from various institutions, are to lead reforms at the Lands Commission. President Akufo-Addo says the commission must prioritize moving from manual record keeping to digital as a first step.
I'm happy to learn that a committee has been constituted and the processes leading to the recommendation for the divesting of vested lands have commenced. I expect to receive your recommendations as soon as possible and act on them. Chairperson and members of the Commission, as you take office, one of the things you must pursue aggressively is the digitization of the records of the Lands Commission. Most of the reforms needed to build efficient land administration will be within our reach if we're able to move away from manual registration to digital registration. We must therefore work assiduously to ensure that the digitization program works. Our target is to ensure that the registration takes a maximum of 1 month. And I dare say, the Ghanaian people will assess the success of your tenure based on how far this objective is attained. Let me also add that your duty to manage public lands is a very onerous one. These lands are vested in the President as trustee for the people of Ghana. As managers of these lands on behalf of the state, you must ensure judicious use of such lands for the good people of Ghana. It is important to note that no public land is vested in any government institution. The same will be contrary to the dictates of the Constitution. Public lands are allocated to government institutions, therefore remain public lands, vested in the President and managed by the Commission. Indeed, the new Lands Act prohibits the grant of any interest in land in public land other than user rights to any public institution.
Time now for Tech Thursday, and post-harvest losses account for 30 to 40% of food wastage in Ghana. That's according to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. This week, connection between farmers and buyers have been blamed on the lack of transport and also a ready market. But fortunately, a mobile app and web application seems to solve that problem. The Kwafo Marketplace has been developed by the Institute for Scientific and Technology Information of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. Kwesi Debra speaks to the scientists behind this innovation for Tech Thursday.
Kwafo Marketplace is an online platform for farmers, agro-input shops and marketers to sell their goods and services. There are two versions, an online version and a mobile app which is available on Google Play Store. The app, developed through the Modernizing Agriculture in Ghana program, is meant to prevent fraud and establish trackability. Engineer Michael Wilson is the head of the electronics division of the institute.
When you have yield, especially like the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative, how do you get that food to the table of the Ghanaian? Some of the food get rotten because we don't even know they have been produced in there. So the Kwafo Marketplace is a dedicated e-commerce platform for registered farmers. We are dealing with about 4,000 farmer-based organizations across Ghana. So these farmers are registered to sell on the platform. Registered because we don't want that platform to be like a platform where people can do fraudulent stuff and say, oh, I'm selling this, you pay and you never get your stuff. So all the farmers there are registered with FBOs, so we can trace the food you are buying. These farmers, after they have harvested, can advertise their produce on the Kwafo Marketplace, and any average Ghanaian, any consumer, any food processor, any marketer could reach them easily and get that food from the farm to the consumers. So the marketplace is the end point where the food moves from the farm to the Ghanaian table. And I believe we are heading towards that point where you can tell for sure that the food I'm eating is coming from farmer A in region B and was produced under conditions A, B, C, and thus I can guarantee the nutritional content of the food I'm eating. That is the Kwafo Marketplace.
A user should be a member of the registered farmer-based organization or be verified by the platform managers to be able to advertise on the platform. The application also has a feature which enables prospective buyers to directly contact the seller of any commodity before any transaction can be agreed upon. Mr. Benjamin Folicher is CSIR Insti Mark focal person.
And the person wants to sell his or her produce. When you go to the Kwafo Marketplace, over there you can advertise your produce, and then people will contact you, because over there we have made it in such a way that you can upload your goods there, your telephone number and where you are, so that buyers can reach up to you and then you can bargain and then you sell.
The index page or the home page, you click on the Kwafo Marketplace and you are launched to the portal. There is a button for you to register. You put in your name, your phone number, and then you select the FBO, the farmer-based organization you belong to. Our operational team will do their verifications and be sure that you are who you claim you are. And once they verify you, they approve you. Once you are approved, you can start selling on the portal. It's as simple as that.
Reporter for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
Join News Prime with me, Ernest Mini. We're taking a break. When we return, we have more business and sports for you. Please stay.
Yeah, welcome back to business. Ghana Cocoa Board has begun the pilot registration of cocoa farmers' pension scheme in the new Adubiasi Cocoa District of the Ashanti region. Now, the scheme will provide decent retirement income for cocoa farmers. There is more in this report.
Over 2,800 cocoa farmers in the new Adubiasi Cocoa District will be registered on the pension scheme, which is expected to be completed in 2 weeks. Contributions will be taken at the point of sale where farmers sell their cocoa beans to the licensed buying companies. Charles Oseakoto is Chief Executive Officer of Stallion Trust and Administration.
The Cocoa Farmers Pension Scheme is starting on October 1st, 2021. It was launched in December 2020 by the President. So all is set to to go. Right now, we are doing a mock exercise to test the structures, the systems, the processes, so that come October 1st, the pension can take off. In the process, during this mock exercise, if there are any hiccups, if there are any challenges, then we use the remaining time to resolve all the issues. There are 14 licensed buyers companies. So we have selected 2 purchasing clerks from each buying company, making 28 pieces. Then amongst them, we have selected 2,800 cocoa farmers that are going to go through this mock exercise.
As part of the scheme, 5% of the value of the beans sold will be deducted electronically and credited to the account of the farmer. However, 75% of the contributions will be locked into an investment fund, out of which the cocoa farmer can access monthly incomes at age 60. Arnold Mensah Bones, a consultant to Stallion Trust and Administration, says 25% will constitute a savings account for the cocoa farmer, accessible after 5 years.
When you sell cocoa, supposedly you're supposed to get 1,000 cedis. That's the gross. Then because it's mandatory that every cocoa farmer contributes 5%, 5% will be deducted. Then Cocoa Board will also contribute 1%. So if you sell 1,000 cedis of cocoa, 5% of 1,000 is 50 cedis. Instead of getting the 1,000, you'll be given 950 cedis. Cocoa Board will match that contribution. Then at the end of every month, the money will be sent to the custodian bank. I think the farmers will need a lot more education. You know, it's not that easy when you deduct money from people. They want to be sure how you're going to use the money, what will be the benefits to them and all that. But the good thing for all the farmers is that at least at long last, after 30-something years, it's going to be implemented.
According to some farmers, the scheme will make the agriculture sector attractive to the youth.
You are a farmer without a pension, but there is no need to be a farmer. But as far as you are now a farmer, but a time will come, you get a pension from the work you have done, then it will motivate us so that our young people who are moving, going to Garamsey and so on, they will come home, then have a way of doing the farming.
If they introduce that monthly, I know it's going to help us. Not that they give us first month, about 6 months, no, the payment will delay, it will not be coming. But if it will be regular, it will be better for us.
The Cocoa Farmer Pension Scheme is duly registered with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. From New Adibiasi in the Ashanti region, Emmanuel Osei reporting.
The Ghana Enterprise Agency is partnering with international agencies to support businesses in parts of the country to meet some targets in the Sustainable Development Goals, known as the Akobin Hand Hygiene Project. It is aimed at helping businesses to use innovative means in improving hygiene, which is part of the Goal 6 of the SDGs. Chief Executive of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Kosiyanke Aye, during the launch of the project hinted that the program has so far benefited about 300 savings and loans associations in some rural areas, of course, of which we have the projects being enrolled at. We have more in this report.
Private sector players, including manufacturers and the sanitation sector, have a major role to play within the context of meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. The Akobin Hand Hygiene Project by the Ghana Enterprises Agency and UNICEF seeks to support Ghanaian innovators in developing materials to help solve sanitation challenges in the work environment. Speaking at a program to launch the initiative in Accra, Chief Executive of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Kosiyanke Aye, disclosed that savings and loans firms in rural areas are being given the support to lend to SMEs to improve on sanitation at their work environment.
We'll continue to build the businesses, as I said, who work in this sector so they can support the agenda to ensure that there's equitable distribution of what we've talked about. Through our collaborations with UNICEF under the GOG Wash Sunmark project, we have also supported various beneficiaries in 5 select project regions through various interventions. About 300 village savings and loans associations have been supported with various forms of business development services so they can also go out and support the communities in which they are in. Over 267 latrine artisans, and these are artisans who build toilets and latrines across the nation, have also been trained. they've been counseled and registered to use this as a tool for job creation and for them to start their own businesses.
Speaking on behalf of UNICEF, Chief Wash for UNICEF Ghana, Ramesh Rajbusal, explained if businesses are to survive the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, good hygiene is important, hence the need for businesses to invest in sanitation.
We participating in this Aquaben hand hygiene fair is critical. We want to see that the children of this country and women of this country has opportunity to practice hand hygiene with soap wherever they are, whenever they want. So because hand hygiene is so critical, not only for preventing COVID spread, but also combating so many diarrheal diseases, so many communicable diseases. So for us, trying to bring private sector together and under the umbrella of Ministry of Sanitation and Ghana Enterprise Agency, this is something we really wanted to do and we will continue support.
There will be a hand hygiene fair and exhibition as part of the project in October this year.
Now, as part of measures to boost its sourcing of raw materials locally, leading beverage company Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited has commissioned its ultra-modern brew house. My colleague Stella Sokoli was at the event and now reports.
Guinness Ghana Breweries Company Limited has launched a state-of-the-art brew house to augment its production in Ghana. According to Managing Director of the company, Helen Wisi, 70% of raw materials are sourced locally, hence the expansion will increase productivity of local farmers.
We have 210,000 beneficiaries across the value chain just because we have an enormous farming program set up to find sorghum in Ghana. Now, at this point, so we started in 2012 and 12% of our local raw materials was sourced locally. Now we are at 61% local sourcing. We want to take that up to 70%. And that's actually why this new brew house is so important. So also now in Achimota, we can produce our beers, our maltas, with sorghum grown in Ghana.
She indicated that a collaboration between government and the private sector will boost productivity and generate revenue for the economy.
So the government has indicated its Planting for Foods and Jobs program, and that's included also a concession on local raw materials. And for us it's really important because that has stimulated our investment of over 25 million here in this brew house. And yes, of course, a stable business environment is good for business in total, and it's good for investors to come to the country.
Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Herbert Krapa, speaking at the commissioning, said government is embarking on aggressive industrialization to encourage value addition in Ghana.
Currently, through the National Export Development Strategy, we are implementing what we call the export development drive to move exports from 2.5 billion Ghana cedis to 25 billion Ghana cedis in a matter of 10 years. We have signed on to the African Continental Free Trade Area. What we want to do is to ensure that Ghana is ready by way of operating environment, by way of our economic situation, to help manufacturers attract in the necessary foreign direct investment to be able to add value to our raw materials and export into Africa. You know that to be able to take advantage of the free trade area.
Guinness Ghana says its new brewery will aid in the promotion of the use of sorghum and maize sourced locally in beer production. The company believes this will provide employment and increase productivity for local farmers.
And that'll be all for business. We have international business news, after which sports will come. Do you stay with
Hans Mensando back here with sports. And new signing Glastonbury wants Accra Hearts of Oak fans to lower their expectations for the club in the CAF Champions League. The Phobians lock horns with Guinean side Industrial de Kamza in the preliminary round of the Elite African Championship later this month. It will mark the club's return to the continental competition for the first time in a decade. Awako tells Joy Sports their target is to make it to the money zone of the competition, but urges fans of the club to be modest in their expectations.
Be part of this competition to take part in this African Champions League. Yes, the supporters, and I know the club itself want to get to the top there. in this competition, which we all know that it's not that easy. It's been a very long time that has participated in such tournaments. So I'll plead with the supporters. They should calm down. They should support us. They shouldn't expect too much. And we'll also do our best. We'll do what we can to get to the money zone, which is not going to be easy. But I know with the team, with the management, the support from the board chairman, I know we'll do our best to get to the money zone. So they shouldn't expect too much that, okay, we should go and go and win the trophy. But they should limit the expectations, which will also take off some pressure off the team.
Now, a Japanese philanthropist who wants to remain anonymous has donated $5,000 to Ghana's first ever powerlifter to make a Paralympic record for his country in powerlifting. Manoni Tetoku, this comes after he won the powerlifting competition, especially Ghana's only competitor at the 72 kg class. There is more in this Joy Sports report by Elon Benar.
The philanthropist said he was impressed with the composure of the athlete in addition to his performance. He later revealed that after reading in the Japanese daily newspaper and reviews on television about the feat chalked by Oku, he was moved to help the young athlete who made his first Paralympic appearance. The philanthropist, who wants to remain anonymous, revealed that he lived in Ghana for more than 2 years in the 60s and has since been drawn to Ghana. The MPC president, Samson Dean, thanked him on behalf of the athlete and assured him of greater successes. It is on record that Nkegbi Bocho has made the most Paralympic appearances for Ghana, contesting in the T54 sprint event at 3 consecutive editions of the Games between 2004 and 2012. Anita Fojo has achieved the highest ranking of an athlete from Ghana, placing 7th in both T53 100 meters and T53 200 meters at the 2012 Games in London. Oku, who was Ghana's flag bearer for the opening ceremony of the 2020 Tokyo Paralympic Games, registered his first ever lift at the Paralympic Games. His first lift of 160 kg earned Ghana a 7th place finish. The philanthropist during the presentation also disclosed his interest to build an indoor sports center for Ghana. The NPC president, upon arrival in Ghana, will present the amount to the Minister of Youth and Sports and request the government to assist the powerlifter get a new prosthetic leg from Otobo.
And of course, you can read more sports at myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Mensah Ando. That's it for now.
And that's our show for tonight. Many thanks for your company. We have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Ernest Meno.
Hello, I'm Dori Nando. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to My Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
Up close on Reason is Jesus. My name is P.P. Fulton, the Christocentric.